Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Mesa, where we enlighten, empower, and energize one another to uplift our world through a greater expression of God. Our affirmation this morning is, I am the phoenix, rising from the ashes in gratitude for life. Can we say that together? I am the phoenix, rising from the ashes in gratitude for life. And let's take that into prayer. So I am the phoenix. I am this beautiful, beautiful bird who continually is rejuvenated, renewed, and rises out of the ashes in gratitude for everything in my life. And so in our prayer this morning, we pray from the place of gratitude. We pray in love. We pray in thanks. We pray in praise. We pray from the divine within us. And from that heart space, that space of love, that space of goodness, we hold this community in love and in light. We uplift its congregants. We uplift the surrounding area in which we are located. We send that love beyond our boundaries, beyond the boundaries of the greater city, beyond the boundaries of this country. We send our love around the world, our planet. And we hold space, oneness, for the one who teach, in which we're all interconnected, interwoven. For what one does to another is what one does to everyone. And so we hold that as a vision for a greater world of passion, a world more full of awareness, more full of the desire to hear, to listen, a world in which we all feel of value and of worth. And we hold those in our community, in the greater world, who are struggling with health challenges today. We hold them in the highest, seeing their medical teams divinely guided in their words, their thoughts, their actions. And for those who are still deeply affected by 9/11, we hold them in love. We see healing in their journey. And we say thank you for the gifts that our journey brings us. And so it is. Amen. So I'm Reverend Judy, and I'm the acting minister at this point right now, and I'm acting so well in this role. And Reverend Kathy is on sabbatical right now. If you want more information about that, you can go back 2 weeks and see it online. And then I have joining me today, Jean Bettis will be our platform and meditation leader. And we have Karen Pfeiffer as our board member of the day. And our music team is Tritonic. They are amazing, and hopefully the mics will cooperate for them. And it is Kim, Cheryl, and Max, and I invite them up now. Give them a hand.
All right, testing.
Hello. What's going on?
Any on this? Okay, that's definitely on. Okay, good to hear. Test, test. There we go. Hello.
This one's not on. Hello, hello. Test. Hello, hello.
There was a time in my life I thought I'd have to do it all for myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say if you're discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go, let it all go. And this is what you've got to say. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yes, I'm only here for God. Good morning. Can you hear me? Okay, great. I have a few things for you to know this morning. Our registration is opening today for the spirit groups. This session will be working with Reverend Paulette Pipe and Touching the Stillness. We are offering 2 in-person groups and 4 Zoom groups. A little something for everyone. Registration is only offered online, but you can pay online or in the bookstore. Here's a little bit more about it. And we should have a video.
Have you ever sat down to try to meditate and you found that your mind is just going? You've had a hard time making it still, or maybe you've had a meditation practice, but having the discipline to sustain it has been a bit of a challenge. Well, I am Mindy Audlin, founder of the Spirit Groups program, here with
Paulette Pipe, Touching the Stillness Ministries.
And we want to invite you to a 6-part series called Touching the Stillness. So we're going to be talking about meditation practices. So Paulette, talk about what we're going to be doing in this series together.
I'm really excited about this, Mindy, because there are so many people who think that they can't meditate or that they don't meditate. And so we're going to be sharing mindfulness and meditation practices that will give you some more options and help you to go deeper into your practice. Maybe bust some of those myths that you hold about why you can't do it and why you can't sustain it. Maybe you just haven't found something that works for you.
So we're going to experiment until you find something that works for you. It's going to be a lot of fun, very experiential. We'll get to go deep. So if you haven't signed up for a spirit group yet, today's the day. Sign up, and we'll see you there.
Reverend Judy, an AFP master teacher, is offering another opportunity for women to join her for the Art of Feminine Presence 5-week course.
How do you respond when you see this title, How to Pray Without Talking to God? Well, I'm the author, Linda Martella Whitsett.
Oops, technical difficulties. Sorry about that. The AFP tools and practices can be life-changing. Ladies, if you'd like to be noticed more in life, find deeper connection with your feminine essence, experience deep-rooted confidence, and inspire change, sign up for this amazing course. You can find more information and register for AFP and all our classes on our Things for You to Know page at unityofmesa.org. You can also register for the AFP course in the bookstore. Thank you all for sharing your love and light with us today. Please know that your soul is welcome here. And now let's share our guiding statement to remind us why we come together. Say it with me now. We are here to experience more of the fullness of who we truly are in order to transform the world. All are welcome here.
And next week, our youth are coming back. They'll be here on the first and third Sundays. And at the request of some of the children, actually, we're going to do it just a little bit differently as we start back up. The children have asked to be more involved with you guys. And that doesn't mean they just want to be paraded through here as you would parade the animals in the, I think of the penguins in the zoo where they walk them out to see everybody and then they walk them back in. And that's not what they want. The kids want to be actively engaged with you. So we are putting together a curriculum for this fall in which there will be chances to interact with them. And we hope that you take advantage of it. And one of the things we're going to do is we're going to start with our children here. We are going to do a short mini lesson. And the mini lesson the weeks that they're here will be stories that are appropriate for them and appropriate for you. And so today, I want to tell you the story, read you and tell you the story of the phoenix. How many of you kind of know a little bit about it? Yes. And I had never actually sat down and read any of the tales. So this is one of them. It's a bedtime story for everyone, written by Bathab Ghosh. The ancient Greeks and Egyptians described the mythical bird of phoenix, a magnificent creature that was a symbol of renewal and rebirth. It is a bird that lays no eggs and has no young. It was here when the world began, and it's still living today. And here is the story. One day when the world was still very young, the sun looked down and saw a magnificent bird. The bird had shimmering feathers. They were bright red and golden color, kind of like my shirt, and shone like the sun itself. The beautiful bird dazzled the sun. Glorious phoenix bird, you shall be my bird and live forever. Live forever, the sun called out. After hearing, joyed, it danced around in the sky among the clouds. Glorious sun, from this day onwards, song shall be for you alone, the phoenix said. But the bird was not happy for long. It was so magnificent that everyone wanted to have a feather from it. All kinds of men, women, and children chased the phoenix, attempting to trap it. Have you ever felt like chasing you, trying to get something from you when they're deep? Yeah. Wonder if it's on mic. Oh, she's shaking it. Oh, yeah. Mic, Judy. Let's see what happens if I hold it. Maybe. The bird was incredibly upset. The phoenix thought, I shall fly away and go east. I shall fly to the land of the rising sun. That's the alarm telling it to go. The phoenix flew and flew. It flew for a very long time. At last, the phoenix came to the desert, and it must have found us, right? The desert free from all humans. It flew freely in the desert, singing praises of the sun above. The phoenix was happy, peaceful in the desert. It spent its days flying and singing. Years passed, and the phoenix did not die. Almost 500 years later, the phoenix grew old and feeble. It could not soar high among the clouds, nor could it sing as it used to. I don't want to live like this, thought the old phoenix. I want to be young again. I want to fly and sing again. If some of us kind of hit that, we think that every once in a while. Thursday when I was in the dermatologist's office, they were carving out my face. I was going, I don't want to live like this. Yes, okay, so fly and sing again. So the phoenix sang, Oh, glorious sun, make me young and strong again. The sun did not listen. The phoenix sang and sang. Day after day, the phoenix sang, sun. When the sun did not answer, the phoenix decided to go back to the land it came from. There it would call to the sun one more time. How many times do we call out loud and feel like we're not heard? Until we go back to that which we came from, and we would call that God. It flew across the desert, over hills, valleys, and high mountains. The journey seemed tiring, long to the old phoenix. Whenever the phoenix stopped, it would pick up some cinnamon bark, some fragrant herbs. It carried some claws and hid the rest of its feathers. Finally, the phoenix reached its destination. There the phoenix found a tall tree and set to building a nest there. It built the nest with the cinnamon barks and lined it with the herbs. Then the phoenix flew to a nearby tree and collected some gum called myrrh. It made an egg out of the gum and carried it to the nest. Now everything was ready. So the phoenix lifted its head and sang one last time. Oh, glorious sun, make me young and strong again. This time the sun heard the phoenix sing. The sun swiftly chased the clouds and put the winds at rest and shone down the hillside with all its power. A blinding sight it was. All the animals ran back to their caves and hid from the sun's fierce rays. Only the phoenix sat on its nest. It bathed in the sun's light. Suddenly there was flash, and the phoenix was surrounded by fire. The flames died out after a while, but the phoenix was nowhere to be seen. The tree and the nest were not burnt. All there was left was a silver gray ash. Then the ash began to tremble, and it started rising upwards. Slowly, a young bird's head popped out. It was very small and stretchy, but the bird grew as every minute passed by. Finally, the bird was itself again. The phoenix had risen from the ashes. It lifted its neck and spread out its beautiful wings and soared high into the sky. And this is that story of hope, that story of we can be renewed, we can become alive again when everything gets us so down. And so when have you been the phoenix? Maybe some of you have made the decision to move closer to family. And it's a whole new experience you get to have. It may be when you've had to let go of somebody very dear to you and you're having to recreate a new normal. We all have phoenix experiences. This community is in the process of a phoenix experience where you're preparing for a new minister and you're holding space for the right and perfect minister to come in. And so we all get to experience being the phoenix, going from that magnificent to not so sure, feeling like we can't do it, and then allowing that surrender into God and allowing that energy, that light to come back into us and rejuvenate us. So that, my folks, is the story of the phoenix. And we'll be working with it later. And now it's time for meditation.
Let's all get comfortable in our seats as we prepare for silent meditation. Let's breathe in the essence of all the beautiful spirits here today, in person and online. And let's breathe out any anxiety or stress we may be holding on to. The whole spectrum of feelings, from pain to joy, are part of being human. As long as I still have breath in me, I get the privilege of feeling them all. It is normal and natural to experience times of grieving as well as times of celebration throughout our life's journey. For the past 2 years, COVID has added an additional layer of losses to grieve. You may have lost a job, a relationship, a dream, or a loved one. Grieving is a necessary part of working through any type of loss, but how do you eventually move on and heal? In my life, I have found that there are 3 keys to being able to rise again like the mythical phoenix after a loss. In this resurrection story that we just heard, the phoenix dies every 500 years and is burned up, and then rises again from the ashes, stronger and wiser and more beautiful than before, to continue its cycle of life and death. The first key to healing is to remind yourself of your divine identity and purpose, which no loss can change. You may feel like this loss has burned out your divine spark of life, but there is still a small flame within that can never be extinguished. It can and will be fanned into a brightly burning flame again. You are light, and you embody the Christ Spirit within you. The second key to rising again from loss is to stay in the present moment. As you focus on the present good in your life, your sadness and grief will begin to heal. As time passes and you continue to work on staying in the present, you will feel yourself slowly rising again, stronger and wiser because of the lessons your loss has taught you. The third and most important key is to be grateful for being alive and for all the wonderful people who have supported and loved you back to life. Having a daily gratitude practice may be extremely hard at first, but as you do it over time, you will realize how much good you still have in your life apart from your loss. Your loss can become your salvation and resurrection experience as you rise again on the wings of gratitude. Your light will shine brighter than ever, and you will emerge from the flames like a phoenix, stronger, wiser, and more beautiful than before. And now let's enter our silent meditation time with our affirmation for today. I am the phoenix, rising from the ashes in gratitude for life. And now, as we begin to come back into this room and out of our silent meditation time, let's become aware of our bodies again and open up our eyes. As we continue our service, hold this thought in your consciousness. I am the phoenix rising from the ashes in gratitude for life.
I go to the silence. I go to the stillness. I go to the center of my soul. My soul. I stay in the quiet. I breathe in the moment. I rest in the presence of my God. My God. I go to where I know I am one with Thee. I go to where I know I am holy, I am whole. I go to the silence. I go to the stillness. I go to the center of my soul. My soul. I go to that place of peace inside myself, where spirit dwells. I stay in the quiet. I breathe in the moment. I rest in the presence of my God. My God within. My God. My God
So about 2 years ago, I started making plans. Plans to have a birthday on September the 14th, 2021, that 70th birthday, and to retire, and to be on a plane traveling around the world for a year starting September 15th. And this talk, at that point, was already scheduled to be my going away talk. I don't think that's happening. And so maybe it still might be, because there are definitely, so it's not my last going away talk, but it is my going away talk, because there are definitely some things that I wish to share with you before I do go away, and this may be the week to start that. I believe that there are spiritual lessons for you in some of my stories that you might want to take on your journey with you. And so we start with the last poem we're doing from the book, 1 Degree South of God, Dynamic Updates on Wisdom and Truth. And this poem was written by Catherine Kish, and it's titled, Thank You. And I want to thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for the past day, for giving space to find a simple path. Who I am as a spirit human being, very deep level. Community and individuals for all communities to experience unimaginable growth. My greatest accomplishment, I have finally learned to set boundaries. And the one boundary I have stayed with is I do not do toilets. And so as I came in this, I heard the flooding of water. I went, I don't do toilets. But I did open the door and went, oh yes, it's that one. And jiggle. And then I take a phone call. And they came running up next door to come to the toilet. But for me, setting boundaries is huge. I don't know if any of the rest of you have issues with that. Some may not. To learn to set boundaries. It's taken the 10 years of ministry to be able to do that. But you may call me still any day or night to talk with me, and I will honestly try to respond. So I thank you. The prize is to look into the abyss of uncertainty and say thank you. In the spring of 2012, I was finishing my last seminary term, and I was interning with Reverend Mark Fisk and the teen ministry. Reverend Joel, who'd been here for 37 years, was in the hospital and was not to return to the church. I had interned here the summer before with the staff and the citizens, and Joel asked me if I would take on the church a while. My dad experienced a stroke and the Alzheimer he was just beginning with reared its ugly head, and everything changing in the life of our family. And on my home front, I was 3 years of being at seminary and was in that 50% of marriages that didn't get through seminary. So I was coming back to figure out if I could put it back together, it was going to continue to suffer and not make it. It was going to be a gigantic effort to keep that marriage together. So I looked into the abyss of my life and I said, thank you for the offer from Unity of Mesa and the gift of time it would give me to work out my own life. Strife is like the best opportunity, and say thank you. And so I started church ministry, that job opportunity that I swore in seminary I would never take on. I was not overly fond of church. Didn't really like it. I preferred retreats and teens. I started church ministry with lots of strife in my personal life and a church that had had the same minister for 37 years. And let me tell you, there were sacred cows in every room in this church. This building and that building, yes. So there was some strife. But I jumped into it all as Reverend Mark and I came together as a ministry team, which was a new experience, to guide this church through a year of transition, waiting for their new and perfect minister. Our first official weekend together on the job was actually in December that year, and it was the first of Advent. And what had we inherited? I don't know if any of you remember. The building only came out to like here. The ceiling was pointed and there were no windows and it was dark in here. And right smack in the middle, we had a Buddhist statue that went all the way up to the ceiling, took up the whole quarter of the center of the building, containing the Buddhist relics on display. And it was the beginning of Christian Advent. And I said thank you to Mark for his amazing brain that looked at every roadblock as an opportunity for growth. And we worked with the book, Jesus Meets Buddha, that Christmas season. In a breakdown, there is a silent power, and say thank you. As the church roof became totally disabled, and we relocated as a church to multiple places, my spouse moved out. And we looked at the seemingly impossible during Christmas 2014 with no church to meet in. But we found a silent power. We found community. When we could no longer use our facility for many months, we discovered the power of unity of Mesa in the community. It did not matter where we went, and we went several places over the next 10 months. People came because they loved the community. And even when my biggest nightmare of public speaking appeared to come true, the day I had to do the talk at the movie theater, Reverend Mark, it was the first talk we did outside of the church here, besides in the backyard. Reverend Mark was going out of town and I had the talk, and he was so excited for me because his dream was to always be on a big stage where people were getting to eat food, because he loved to eat food and watch movies. And they could buy food at the concession stand and come in and do church that way. And all I could envision was people not being too excited with me and throwing their food at me and booing me off the stage. So my silent fear grew into a tremendous power and created a fire alarm that meant we had to evacuate the building during about 5 minutes into my talk. Now, I knew how to do fire drills because I'd been a school teacher for 25 years and we did them once a month, every month. So I was an expert at that. Calm my nerves. We all went outside. I could breathe. We came back in and I was centered and able to continue that talk. And nobody threw popcorn at me. And thank you so much for that. And I said thank you for the silent power of the universe that seemed to be watching over me and this community. Be like the phoenix from the ashes and say thank you. Unity of Mesa has returned from the ashes, or at least the broken struts and construction, and started to really release the old and made room for new growth opportunity. Systems were slowly changed, and we started creating a new chapter for Unity of Mesa. And like the phoenix, we rose from the ashes and said thank you for all of the potential and great possibilities which are emerging. Find your service within the chaotic world and say thank you. And then there was chaos. The type of chaos that comes with the unexpected death of a beloved, the death of Reverend Mark. Kathy and I both experienced what I would call inner chaos. Kathy would have to share her personal story with you. For me, it was devastating. It was a devastating loss. Not only the loss of a dear friend, but the loss of a dear coworker who had helped create the most exciting work environment, work experience of my life. The loss of a spiritual mentor. Mark always asked questions, always questioned where I was on my journey, and always held me to a higher level of understanding and self-awareness. Although in the outer appearances everything will look normal, in the inner life for me there was total chaos that took a long time to face with Mark's passing. And around that time my spouse also moved out with no concrete decisions about how we would move forward. In that chaotic world, I found service to God through this community, and that service calmed the rough waters. And I said, thank you. Stage it so your child says yes to the adventure because you do, and say thank you. So as hard as we work as ministers to not let you guys put us up on a pedestal up here and hold us to that idea that we're God, there is some of that which occurs. And with that, there is a sense of all of you being the children of God. And therefore, we sometimes think of you as our responsibility. I get over it really fast when I realize what has happened. But especially as people come in for some counseling, sometimes it's old church teachings where you have to come to church because the only way to God is through a professional. And we know we don't teach that here. We teach you have that access. But when that happens, there's this whole transformation about how they see the minister. They see them as God because it's the only way to God. And so every once in a while it slips in here, and we do all we can to not let that happen. But in that, the opposite happens and you become our children. Not very often because I really don't want to claim you all, but yeah, it's one of those psychological pieces. But with that being said, you are all children of God. And my hope for each of you is to have you say yes to the great adventure of spiritual journeying. I hope you have been I hope I have been some inspiration to all of you so that you want to say yes to continuing on your journey. And maybe some of my stories hit home for you. And I always remember and want you to remember, as spiritual leaders, we are only a few steps ahead of you on the journey. And sometimes we're actually a step or two behind some of you. So I know John is way ahead of me in his Bible talk, but I'm way ahead of him in some other areas. And we're working with how do we balance some of that out. I know Sharon could teach me so many lessons through her theological studies. And there are so many of you who have been doing this work for so much longer than I have. And yet, I have some skills that together as we walk, we both end up on amazing journeys. So we walk this journey together, sharing our goodness, our godness, and our wisdom, and saying yes to the adventure because one of us has become childlike and is excited about the transformation. And hopefully it's both of us, because I'm always childlike. And we look for the capacity to move into spiritual genius and say thank you. The greatest gift of all for me has been the ongoing and continued spiritual growth, partly imparted by Unity Worldwide Ministries as ongoing criteria for continuing education, partly imparted by this community, who 10 years ago wrote within our contracts that we needed to have spiritual development and renewal time as ministers. And partly just because I love to seek and I love to learn. And I love to do my own sacred work. I know I am blessed by this capacity to move into spiritual genius, and I say thank you to all who support me. And I would say COVID has been the burning of the phoenix, except we will not come back just the same as we were in pre-COVID as a community. I believe a quote that has stuck with me since I was a teen, I believe it was by President Kennedy, is ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And I leave you with that question going into post-COVID and going into a new ministry after Kathy and I retire. What is it that you can do as Unity of Mesa evolves out of the ashes of COVID and into 21st century ministry? We knew before going into COVID that ministry was going to have to change to accommodate the next generations, and COVID has carved out opportunities to explore different ways of serving. We will have a choice going forward as we create a church for tomorrow. That also means, like the phoenix, you need to be willing to let go of life as you know it to explore the possibilities, to take the adventure and say thank you to all of it, to all that that adventure brings. And today, I would like to give a special thanks to some people here and at home. First, there are 2 people here today, there are 4 people here today who were active and instrumental in supporting the church, which led my soul to unity of divine love. At one point, Reverend Joe and Reverend Kira were married, and Reverend Kira needed to spread her wings. And so she started Unity of Divine Love. Unity of Mesa supported that for a couple of years to make sure it happened. And I just want to say thank you to the Lands, Wanda and Floyd, and to the Slice Goods, Pam and Bill, because they were instrumental in her journey, her growth of Unity of Divine Love. And I know Cindy here is very active with that. There's a few others. And then that the women's ministry was created. And I want to say thank you to the 4 of you for all of the work you did as leaders in that community, and that you have since come back and done in this community. So we thank all 4 of you, and I'm going to share. I didn't ask permission to share. And Wanda and Floyd are getting ready to move to Idaho to be close to family, and have made that tough decision, which I'm sure it was a tough decision. And so we will miss them greatly. And Floyd's been one of our platform people. He was a platform person over at Unity of Divine Love. So I met him about 15 years ago, I believe. Bill and Pam are still here, and they have had some problems in our office areas. And they have told us for years there's a water issue, and so they have come in and said, let us see if we can fix a significant part of that for you guys by putting up guttering. And so they are going to provide that for us. And they oversaw the building out of the space after we collapsed. And they presented this amazing daughter of theirs. I had the blessing to work with for several years as I stepped into teen ministry. She was one of my first unity, and she taught me so much. And so I thank you guys. You guys have been such a blessing in my life. They have come into this here in Mesa, and it was in Tempe, I think. So thank you so much. And Cindy has this amazing support who has just continued and kind of pushed my buttons, and Sheila at home has always been there and supported. And there are so many more that I hope I get to say thank you to as I move through these last 4 months here and let you know, because sometimes we get to leave, we don't get the chance to let people know what a difference they made in our lives and how they make that difference. And my journey would not have been the same without the 4 of you right there. I know that because you supported me in so many ways that you don't even know at the time. Thank you. And I say thank you to allowing me to serve here for almost a decade. I it has fulfilled a soul desire for me, even though I came into it with more resistance than you can ever imagine. I mean, I really, truly spent 3 years in seminary going, I don't need to know that I'm not going to work in a church. I don't need to do that class. I'm not going to work in a church. You guys don't know anything about youth. I need to know that. I'm not going to be a church minister. So we don't ever know. And the wisdom of those who preceded me knew. And they just would look at me and say, no, you have to do it. And I would kick and scream. And when Joel asked me about coming on, I'm going, Joel, I told you about interning. I'm not doing church. I'm doing youth. And I loved the regional work that I was doing at the time with the high school and middle school kids. It was not the path. It was not the path that I was prepared to do. And so I thank you all for your patience with me. You guys trained minister, you guys in this community, you will grow your next minister. You grew me. You've grown Kathy. You grew Mark. And so you have power that you don't even know. And it should be every minister's prayer to have a church that is as amazing as this church community has been. The DNA within this church is all about growing spiritual leaders and growing spiritual community. And you do it well. And every single board I have worked with over the 10 years has been amazing. And I hear nightmare stories from minister friends all the time about the boards. And there has never been even a tad bit, even an inkling of that at any board meeting I have been at here. So I praise you all for your spiritual maturity and for your leadership development and for everything that you guys do. The fly loves me. And just know that this is a journey and it's been a blast. And I have loved almost all of it. A few times, not so much so. I think the few times that Bill usually gets those calls. Is the building going to fall down, Bill? Is the building going to fall down again? Are we going to sink? What are we doing? Yes. So there have been some pieces of ministry that I really wasn't cut out to do, but then again, everything I needed to know was available to me through the training I've had and through all of you. So if you ever run across a book titled, "They Didn't Teach Me About That in Seminary," you might want to grab it because it will be all about you guys. Because what I have learned in seminary was this much, and what I've learned with all of you is this much. So I love you all. And even though you just heard my goodbye talk, I will still be here for several more months. And I will see you next week with all your beautiful Phoenix colors and your gratitude in your hearts as we start to look at all the possibilities. Because as you hold the vision, that's what gets to show up. And we've asked you already to hold the vision for the right and perfect minister to be preparing for this ministry. So we're going to work with that a little bit more the next week. And then next week's the 19th? No. Yes? Yeah. Not next week, the following week. And then, yes. So we'll see you next week, following week. And all of you at home, thank you so much for being part of this community and staying with us even when you're not able to come in on person. Thank you all so much for everything.
Let's make sure this is working. Sounds like it is. As a representative of the board, we also want to really thank Judy for agreeing to stay on. I know she was heading for great places in the world, but we have this great opportunity for the Phoenix to rise. We've had a year and a half or more of COVID, and we've managed to stay afloat. I look out and I think, we're here, we're back in the building, and just really appreciating all the generosity and of spirit, to generosity of donations that allows us to continue to be here in this beautiful place. So I wanted to just say the offering blessing after I tell you that there are many ways to give. I forgot that part. Amazon Smile, if you sign up for Unity of East Valley, whatever you buy on Amazon, they give a percentage to the church. Fries as well. So you can sign up at Fries and that whatever you purchase, they give a donation to the church. You can give through the new, what's it called, Venmo? Used to be Give Plus, Banco. It's an online giving opportunity. You can also do directly from your checking account. So it is what keeps us going. It's what pays for the lights and pays for the AV and pays for the cleanup and the minister and the staff. So please be as generous as you can. Appreciate it. Just to let you know that the board we meet frequently and are waiting for the applications to come in. We sent out the packet to Unity Worldwide last month, and we're hoping to get the right person to apply. Okay, so now we'll do the offering. You can get your giving in your hands, hold your hands together, and we'll say the following. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you for the gifts, and thank you to the givers.
I'm grateful for a nest to lay me down, the comforter who warms my heart till dawn, a neck to wrap my loving arms around, a shoulder till my tearful fears are gone.
I'm grateful for the lessons I've been taught, the honesty bestowed on my behalf, and even for the reasons that we fought. Humility to rise above and laugh.
I'm thankful for the blessings every day. Beauty guides me all along my way. I'm thankful for the love that makes me whole. I'm thankful for the journey, path that leads me safely to my soul. safely to my soul. I'm thankful for the journey. I knew the path would lead me to my soul.
So after service, we have prayer chaplains available for one-on-one prayer. We've got Sharon, we've got John here, and they would be glad to pray with you. They have white stools on. And you're welcome to take a look at the artwork in the family room, make a purchase in the bookstore, or just hang out and chit-chat a little bit. It's pretty hot out back. Oh, and Audrey's here too. I'm sorry, she's standing up right there. She's also one of our chaplains. So let us close with the prayer for protection. We can all imagine holding hands in our beautiful community. And together, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And all is well. Namaste, everyone. Have a great week.